Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new edition of our interview online series. And it's my honor and pleasure through last year's event, Zurich Invest event. We want to talk now to Dolly Varden Silver Corp, and we have Shawn Khunkhun here with us, the CEO and director. Good morning, Shawn, to Canada. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. Finally, it worked out. That's always great. And you guys, let's call it, are also working with a company we know quite well, with Fury Gold Mines. This is how it came, that we came also here together. But before we get into medias res, please give us a short idea. Where are you based? What are you doing?
Okay, so we are in the prolific Golden Triangle in Northwest BC, Canada. And we have a project that's got a great long history of silver production. And what I have done in the 3 years that I've run the company is I have done some regional consolidation. My technical team has made some very big discoveries, and we've aligned ourselves with some very significant investors, including Hecla Mining and Eric Sprott.
Wow. Okay, super. That sounds great. Before we come to the investors in more detail, let's first talk a bit about the company itself. I saw also in your infrastructure, you guys have a great infrastructure in your presentation. Sorry, you guys have a great infrastructure already around you, and we know that this is something is key in the future when you want to build a mine, right?
Well, yeah, you know what? The Golden Triangle has great geology. It has great First Nations relations, and it has tremendous infrastructure. And specifically, Dolly Varden, because of the long production history, like major production in the 20s and throughout the 1950s, we are benefited by a deep water seaport, a road to the property. We've got low-cost hydroelectric power at the foot of the property. So you're right; it's all infrastructure is in real estate location, right? Having infrastructure brings down all the costs, and but the geology has brought in some of the best grades that, in the world. So we've got both elements.
Okay, super. Okay, then let's start first with your how can I say that, with your home project before we go to Homestake Silver. So what is going on there? I think this is Wolf, Kitzel, South Reef, Homestake, main Homestake Silver. We said it already. So what is going on there? What have you achieved so far this year, and what is the game plan for let's say until Christmas?
That's a great question. And a lot of investors say to me, Shawn, I know Dolly Varden. I've heard of this name before, and I'm familiar with the company. And what I'm really trying to brand is we are the new Dolly Varden. This is Dolly Varden 2.0, next generation. And the way we've done that is we took an old mine and we consolidated a 15-kilometer trend, consolidating 7 deposits. And those 7 deposits, the areas in between the deposits are open. They haven't been explored. The project has never been drill tested below 300 meters adequately. And we've had some really big scientific breakthroughs on the discovery side. And we are hitting some of the best drill holes in the entire Golden Triangle. And that's a big statement, because we have projects like Brucejack, like SK Creek, like Premier. So we're surrounded by some of the richest gold and silver mines in the world, and Dolly Varden's 2022 drill program delivered the best gold intercept in all of the Golden Triangle. We hit 46 grams of gold over 25 meters.
Wow.
And we've been really expanding the mineral footprint on the silver side, where the best hole we struck this year was 24,000 grams of silver. So that's 24 kilos. And it was a hit where we had about 1,500 grams of silver over 16 meters.
Wow, that sounds really exciting, I would say. Is the focus more on the gold, more on the silver? Because I had the impression when you bought Homestake Silver, it is more on the silver side.
So why Dolly Varden is unique? It's the only project of its kind where we have this size and grade of both silver and gold. So it's actually a 50-50 relationship in terms of metal endowment. So, if we talked about, all categories, and we looked at the resource, 50% of that resource is silver and 50% of gold, which makes us unique against our silver peers because a lot of those silver peers have a lot of base metals. So you actually don't get exposure to the precious metals, but here you get a lot of exposure to silver and a lot of exposure to gold.
Of course, and you don't want to leave the one. You don't want to have left something behind when you can still grab it, right? Okay, so what is the plan then until the rest of the year? You said already we had those fantastic drill results. I could imagine that you want to follow up and you want to enlarge that, right?
Yeah, so we have about $26.5 million in the treasury.
Wow.
So yeah, so we're in a healthy cash position. We're about to launch next month into a drill program. It's a 45,000 meter drill program. And what's interesting is we've drilled about 50,000 meters and have not updated our 43-101. So after this season, we'll have about 100,000 meters of drilling to then update our 43-101.
Super. Wow. I could imagine if you keep on hitting, that will be a very nice update, right?
That's what we're guiding.
Yeah, that's a game plan. Super. I like the game plan. Fantastic. Can you elaborate a bit more how now Homestake Silver fits so well into your strategy and into your projects all in? Yeah, this is why you have bought it, right, from Fury.
I think there's a theme that is occurring beyond the Golden Triangle, beyond Dolly Varden. It's a theme of consolidation. You know, so much in the mining industry is you have fragmented ownership. But once you can bring consolidation and 100% ownership under one entity, think about the cost savings, the fact that you only need one facility, right? And so what we had prior to the amalgamation of Fury's Homestake Ridge and Dolly Varden's historic mines is you had fragmented ownership. And you had two projects that were simply put not big enough to stand alone. But by bringing them together, you've got scale, right? And you've got economics. And then where we've gone to the next level is in between these deposits, we've made discoveries and we expect to make more. So really that's a theme that we're seeing playing out by Agnico Eagle in the Abitibi. We saw it in Nevada between some of the big major companies. And it's a theme that I think will continue to play out where you have more and more consolidation, M&A activity. We've seen about $5 billion worth of M&A just in the Golden Triangle alone in the last couple of years. And that was during a bear market. Now, as we move into a stronger market, I suspect a lot more of this type of activity.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we see it also with Newmont, Newcrest, etc., etc. I mean, there's so much going on. It's crazy. That's right. I saw also in your presentation that you have like a 15-kilometer mineralized trend. So how many of those 15 kilometers have you so far explored? Where do you see, let's say, the next big chance to move forward?
That's a really good question. So only 3% of the property's been explored.
Wow, that's nothing.
It's nothing. And we're in an area that, you know, again, if you go back a few years, this was an area that was covered by ice, that had a lack of infrastructure. And so in addition to modern technologies that aid exploration efforts, we've got receding glaciers, receding ice, better infrastructure, and higher metal prices. So one of the things I see, one of the opportunities is there's a big 5-kilometer gap in between Homestake and Dolly Varden. So you've got about 5.4 kilometers that has not been explored. And what we're finding is every 1.5 kilometers, there's a major deposit. So we expect to fit 3 major deposits in that gap. And then the other part of it is what is more likely and predictable is not taking those big 1.5 step out shots. It's actually staying tighter to a known vein. So our team is looking at silver veins, gold veins, and they're looking at areas where they're open. And we're just going out and we start with modest step outs, 25 meters. Then we move to 50, and last year we went up to 200, and we're hitting. And in some cases, so we have 7 deposits over this 15-kilometer trend. In some cases, last season, we doubled the strike length of known deposits. So we're taking deposits that had a 350-meter strike length. We're taking them to 700, but then we're also expanding them down dip. So, this thing is open in all directions. Like I said, the gold and the silver, it didn't fall from the sky, right?
Really not.
my earlier point about the fact that they haven't been drill tested below 300 meters is one of the biggest opportunities on the property. And so they're open along strike. They're open in these big exploration gaps. And I have a philosophy: if it's not broken, don't fix it. And if you look at the success that we had last season, if you look at the success we've had since this new management team has taken over the company, how quickly we've grown the company, and we've done it in a sensible way. We've been selectively aggressive, and we've timed our financing windows well. Like just to summarize here, 3 years ago this was a $20 million company. Today it's 300. And some investors will say, well, I missed the opportunity, but what I'd like to say to those investors is we're in a business where it's very binary. Most companies fail. So when you have a company that's growing, that's when you want to jump on. And I've got neighbors that have gone from 30 million to 900 million. So we are reawakening these past treasures of the past. And here in North America, we watch baseball, which is a 9-inning game. Dolly Varden is in the 2nd inning of the reawakening process. So we've got a long way to go.
Okay, super. Yeah, fully understood. And I really see that also. That's great. As far as I remind that correct, there was, I think, a very good solid PEA for Homestake Silver. Is this something you want to also closely follow up and to say maybe Homestake Silver we bring faster in production, finance the rest with that?
Well, listen, like whether you're Apple or you're Dolly Varden, the stock market, and it's all about growth, right? And so for me, the reason our share price is up 200% since September and we're outperforming our peers is because we're growing. So my business model here is, how do I grow mineral inventory? And I did it through an acquisition. I'm doing it through exploration. So for me, it's really not about a PEA today. I look at some of these companies that put out resource estimates or PEAs and their stocks go down. I think that the best thing we can do right now at this point is continue to let the drill bit lead the growth of both the deposit, which in turn is leading to the growth in the share price. And once we wrap our arms around how big this system is, then let's look at economics. And I'll tell you, had I not taken this approach a couple of years ago, I'd be talking about a $12 silver price, because if you look at when Oren, which was the predecessor to Fury, when they put out their PEA in 2010 using 3-year trailing prices, and you talk about a good PEA, that was actually done at $12 silver and $13.50 gold. How good would that PEA look today using 3-year trailing prices, call it $17, $18 silver and $1,600 or $1,700 gold? Heaven forbid we use the spot price of these metals. So for me, we're going to get a re-rating once we take the Dolly deposit, all the discoveries made in the last 3 years and what's to come this year, look at modern metal prices, wrap some economics around it. And that's why we've got an analyst out there right now saying this is a $600 million company. And that doesn't even account any future discoveries we could make.
Okay, super. Last but not least, let's talk a bit about capital structure. You said already cash was over 25 million, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and I think you have a very impressive shareholding here. I see Tekla with 10%, Eric Sprott, whom we all know very well, 10%. Of course, Fury is also still a large shareholder. I see 50% institutions. Can you tell us a bit which institutions are in?
So 7.5% of the company is held by Fidelity,
Mm-hmm.
which is unusual for Fidelity to own, especially when they made the investment. Dolly Varden was a fraction of the size it is today. And I think it's a testament of the asset, the other shareholders, and where they think we're going. In addition to Fidelity, the other 42.5% that's institutionally owned are some of the name brand institutions you'd normally see in companies like Dolly Varden. And so if you take the 50% institutional ownership, you add in Fury's 25% block. Now we're at 75%. You add in Eric and Hecla. It really just leaves about 7 or 8% in the hands of the public. And it's why, again, I think it articulates why our shares price has done so well and why we can continue to do well going forward. We have alignment. We have shareholders that are allowing us to build a business. In the case of Hecla, they're a producer. They're depleting their mineral inventory on a daily basis. They're looking for pipeline projects to develop in the future. And then in the case of a guy like Eric Sprott, Eric's got some pretty big ideas of where the silver price is going. And so he's looking, and so when he first invested $15 million into Dolly Varden, he said to me, Shawn, I want you to make me 20 times my money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I haven't done that yet. We're still in that process. So, that's what we're looking to do here. We're swinging big. We've got a very prospective area. We've got the treasury. We've got the funding, and the biggest difference between companies that are, I call it the haves and the have-nots. The companies that have the ability to execute success is we're not messing around with a little 3,000 or 4,000 meter drill program. We're going for it, right? And that's the difference. We're going to have success because we're taking such big shots.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. That was a great final sentence, Shawn. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And 17 minutes. Here we go. No, really interesting company. I must say, I have to dive a little bit deeper into that. And wish you all the best. Thank you very much, and hope to talk soon with you.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this was Shawn Khunkhun, the CEO of Dolly Varden Silver. And yeah, you heard it. Interesting things are going on. 45,000 meters of drilling are in front of them. And they are working then out a new resource estimate, over $25 million cash in the bank, also very important. So they are well financed. And I think it's a very good call on gold, but also especially on silver, and in one of the best jurisdictions in the world where you can do mining. You should check out the company. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.